Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Scott Reynolds, and we continue our coverage here on Wave 3 of the 97 flood. The good news that we have concerning traffic is that I-64 is once again open. It had been closed in the Grinstead area all the way to Melwood. There are a bunch of cars there, though, that need to be moved, and if they're not moved, they will be towed. They will be taken to the Cherokee Park parking lot. So if anyone has a vehicle there, you are now able to go get it and take it away, and you're urged to do that so it does not get towed. But for the latest on other traffic troubles that continue throughout our metro area, let's go back to Catherine Grant. Catherine?
Hello, Scott. Well, I can tell you, well, you already said it, 64 East and West. The good news for today, it has reopened between Story and Grinstead. So we could all use some good news today. Unfortunately, not everything else is good news. 65 South, Jefferson County Police say they do have it blocked at 841. Preston's going to be closed at the Gene Snyder to keep traffic from going down into Bullitt County, where Preston's been shut down at Hillview for some time, and there's just been a solid line of traffic with no place to back up or turn around. If you have to get south, the only way right now is to use Dixie Highway or 31 East. It's been closed in several places in Nelson County, though. Also, rubberneckers and sightseers trying to get out to the house fire. They caused a big problem for firefighters at Newcut, so they've had to close the intersection of 3rd Street Road and Newcut. You will no longer be able to go through that area. And Outer Loop's been underwater since yesterday morning. Grade Lane's still flooded. River Road's closed between 3rd and 8th. And let's see, J-Town Police say Old Taylorsville Road at Real Road still flooded. Algonquin Parkway, Southwestern, still underwater. Indiana residents also having to struggle with water problems. Middle Road on both sides of Allison Lane is underwater. People keep trying to drive through it and keep getting stranded. Police in Indiana keep saying to me, please stress that they should not use Middle Road around Allison Lane. State Road 111 south of New Albany is a problem. Parts of State Road 11. US 31 between Sellersburg and Henryville has reopened, so that's some good news from Henryville on up, though it's still going to be closed. Parts of Cooper's Lane in Clark County still flooded. Floyd County reports high water still blocking 5 Mile Lane and 7 Mile Lane off 111 South. And Silver Creek still flooding over Blackiston Mill Road at the bridge. Back to you, Scott.
All right, thanks, Catherine. We'll check back with you shortly. As you know, if people come to visit you in the metro area, one of the places you often like to take them maybe is for a ride down River Road. Well, it's a little bit different sight right now, as Kelly Burkeen reports for some people getting a tour of that area today.
We're along the Ohio riverfront in downtown Louisville at the Galt House. On a day of amazing sights, this definitely another amazing sight. Actually, it makes you feel kind of like an island of yourself. Of course, this is the area that is usually the park along the riverfront. Just upriver is where the Belle of Louisville docks. Now the benches underwater, water rising against the light post, the historical marker. Let's see, now we can see that the last visitor to the Louisville War, famous Walt Whitman, 1848, almost covered up. We're told the river is rising at about 1 foot an hour now. It's actually becoming a tourist attraction in its own. A lot of folks gathering around to take some photographs. Among them, visitors from Wisconsin. Your name, please.
It's Tammy Schobert.
Well, welcome to Louisville. What a weekend to visit us. What do you think about this?
Well, I'd like to see the city in the sunshine, that's for sure. It's pretty amazing. I mean, this is coming down as snow up in Canada and parts where we're from, so it's kind of neat to see it as rain and water filling the city.
Of course, in many parts of Jefferson County and across wave country, it has been a tragic result, but in this part of the city, just more of an amazing sight, I think, more than anything. Have a safe time, a safe trip home, and hope you come back on a sunny day.
Thank you.
Okay. That's the situation from the riverfront. For Wave 3 News, I'm Kelly Burkeen with photographer Jim Joslin. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Kelly. And as I was talking with Craig Hoffman just a few minutes ago about the people who live along River Road. They're used to getting some water in their homes. They're used to pulling up the carpet and drying out, and the waters are approaching. As Kelly said, that water level on the Ohio is going up quite rapidly. Favorite restaurants like the Captain's Quarters restaurant, water is headed that way. Some of those places are going to get the water. They haven't got it yet, so this flood continues to cause more problems, additional problems, as the hours go by. And for just how much more rain we might be getting, let's check in with Craig Edwards in Storm Center 3.
Right, Scott, we do have another chance of rain. It's developing out there right now. I'm going to show you a radar in a moment, and you'll see that some of that rain is aloft and moving our way. It's getting closer and closer. We're going to see some of those showers pushing on into the area within the next few hours or so. I want to bring you up to date and up to speed on what we've seen so far. Yesterday, the rain total came out to be 10.48 inches. This is the all-time maximum, not only for the city of Louisville, but for the entire state of Kentucky. We've never received that much rain in Kentucky in a 24-hour period, and that's exactly what we got yesterday. breaks the old record by about 8/10. Through Friday and Saturday, as the storm started and the rain continued on into the early morning hours, or actually till midnight last night, the grand total there comes out to be just under 11.5 inches. And for the storm total, we know that it's over 11.5. It continued to rain past midnight. Actually, we picked up some more showers early this morning, up till around 2 or 3 o'clock this morning. So we know that that level is even higher. Bringing you up to speed on some of the local rivers in the crest that we're expecting. On the Kentucky River, the crest should be Monday at 47 feet. On the Salt River, Sunday evening, probably around 37.5 feet. That's the highest since 1964. Back on the Rolling Fork, crest of 50.5 feet. That's the highest in that area since 1984. The East Fork of the White River, crest 17 feet on Monday. And the Muscatatuck, we're talking about a crest of 1 foot below the December level, and that's going to be late on Tuesday. As far as the Ohio River is concerned, we've just received this information in, and they're expecting the crest there to reach 69 feet. And this is going to be the highest since March of 1964, making this a significant flood along the Ohio River. It's already beginning to form that way, and it looks like it's going to continue on. The crest itself looks like on the upper, it's going to be Wednesday afternoon. On the lower, also on Wednesday afternoon. Once again, the crest on the lower is going to be about 69 feet. The crest on the lower is going to be 37.5 feet. Once again, that should occur Wednesday afternoon. So we're talking about several days of flooding coming our way as the river continues to rise. On the satellite picture right now, you can see all of the shower activity we're talking about, the cloud cover moving into the area. What we've been watching is developing low cell that's developing right back here in the west. Now it looks like that's going to come our way. It's going to skirt just to the south of Louisville. That means a chance of rain will continue to build in our forecast over the next few hours. Radar right now, you can see the rain just to the south of Louisville. Now, much of this is still aloft. That means it's not hitting the ground as of yet. We're beginning to see it on the radar, so we know the moisture is creeping in on the higher levels. It's just going to take a little while before it starts reaching all the way back down, but many areas beginning to pick up some showers in the bluegrass, and back down to the south, some heavy showers and thunderstorms continue, parts of Mississippi into parts of Tennessee, and that gradually is going to make its way to the northeast. Stationary front has stalled out just down to our south and east over in the eastern sections of Kentucky, and that's the reason we've changed the forecast to include that chance of rain for tonight. Look for cloudy skies for the duration of the afternoon, still breezy and cool. The temperature this afternoon topping out only around 48 degrees. Then rain likely for tonight. We could get about a ½ inch to an inch of rain in the area. The overnight low will drop down to about 38 degrees. Then for tomorrow, clouds in the morning, maybe a leftover shower. As the day goes on, it'll start to clear out just a little bit. 46 degrees, the high for tomorrow, still a cool day. And the good news is we've got some sunshine coming up, developing for us on Tuesday. A high should be about 62 there. Sunshine also 55 on Wednesday. Thursday, a few clouds moving back into the area. Another chance of rain should be here by Friday. It looks like 55 degrees by next Saturday with partly cloudy skies. So, Scott, the big story, I guess, is the fact that we've got more rain coming. It's probably not going to intensify the flooding. We're not expecting that much rain, but it's just not going to allow any of this to clear out either.
Right, just take that much longer. And, of course, it will also add to what the Ohio River looks like by Wednesday. Right,
and we're talking about a significant amount of water that's going to be backing up along the Ohio. So even those areas down there that are accustomed to these kind of floods, it's going to be the worst that we've seen in those areas since 1964.
Wow. Well, they're preparing down there, Craig. We can tell you that. In fact, they're installing a flood wall. All the plans are being made right now to take care of that situation as best as crews can. Kelly Burkeen has the latest on what's going on.
We are on 10th Street, just below Main, where a crew from MSD is helping protect downtown Louisville from the Ohio River. Crew has been here for about 2 hours installing the floodgates. Just about finished with this one. The same scene is being played out up and down the riverfront in downtown Louisville. Of course, this is in response to the rising Ohio River. Yesterday, the river rising, we are told, sometimes at 2 feet an hour. Today, that it slacked off to about 1 foot an hour. The efforts here are almost complete. The workers say that from here, of course, they'll move on to the next section. On the other side of this flood wall, at this point, we can see that much of River Road is already underwater. This just an extra precaution against the Ohio River's flooding downtown. With photographer Jim Joslin, Kelly Burkeen, Wave 3 News, back to you.
All right, thanks, Kelly. One other note that we'd like to pass along. The Carroll County DES chief, Selden Scott, called regarding complaints that nobody was helping people in Sanders' community. Well, he says that the state police choppers got everybody out that would go. Some residents refused and just decided to stay with their homes. There was one guy on his roof. State police went down to get him. He just climbed down and refused to leave. Eagle Creek and some smaller streams are causing major flooding of that town, about 250 people, and it's about 18 miles from Carrollton. So that's the latest that's going on out there. Some people just don't want to go, and they are concerned about their belongings and their residences, and they just don't want to leave them. At this point, they feel they can weather it out, but everybody's being urged to leave that area. We're going to be back with much more coverage, including some more closings and cancellations for you as we continue our coverage of the '97 flood.
Pizza Hut employee memo number 12, deals. Now that you've gotten the hang of making our new pepperoni pizzas, we're gonna really have some fun.
I'm afraid to ask.
We're gonna start cutting deals.
Like a used car salesman?
We'll probably have to wear pinky rings.
The difference is these are good deals. $7.99 for a medium one-top pepperoni and $5 more for the second. So practice up on your sales pitch.
How about $7.99 for this beauty?
And I'll throw in a second for $5.
You were born to sell.
Feel like you never have the cash you need? If you're a homeowner, Mr. Cash can help. Hi, I'm Billy Packer. With a home equity loan from Mr. Cash, you can get the money you need to pay bills or to make that special purchase. And the interest is usually tax deductible. Even if your credit is less than perfect, you can get the cash you need. Homeowners, call Mr. Cash today. 1-800-444-CASH.
Meet Bob and Jill. Both are homeowners and both are paying their monthly bills. The difference is Jill has a home equity loan from Republic Bank. Bob pays a pile of bills each month for credit cards, finance companies, car loans. Jill pays just one bill each month. Plus, Jill enjoys a low interest rate with her home equity loan. Bob, on the other hand, if you're a homeowner, even if you have less than perfect credit, call Republic Bank right now. It's the smartest way to pay your bills.
If your engine isn't running like it used to, it may be time to come see us at Louisville Motor Exchange. We can replace that worn-out engine with a factory remanufactured engine at a fraction of the cost of a new car or truck. At Louisville Motor Exchange, we have been installing factory remanufactured engines for more than 40 years. And with factory-written warranties, you know you'll be getting the best engine and the best service. Louisville Motor Exchange, we're the engine people, now in our second generation of giving courteous service and advice.
This was a day many residents of Wave Country planned to hunker down around the TV, get the family together, have some food, and watch the Kentucky basketball game. For many, that has not turned out to be this kind of day. They've had to deal with all the problems caused by the flooding. We can pass along for you a quick score today in the midst of all this flood coverage. Kentucky has lost to South Carolina, the 6th-ranked Gamecocks, beating the Kentucky Wildcats 72-66 at Rupp Arena. Meanwhile, down on River Road again, the water has been good throughout Wave Country despite all this flooding, but Mark Pettinger joins us now live to tell us what's going on actually at the water company itself.
Well, a stone's throw and then some from the water company, Scott, but you wonder what people were doing instead of sitting around watching the game. Those people who live along River Road were obviously packing up and trying to get their belongings and head to higher ground, but there have been a lot of sightseers coming out to this spot just to take it all in. And I'll just sort of step out to the side and you can just get an idea as this MSD truck rolls through the water of just how high it is and how much it's kind of covered and inundated this area down here. We've been watching as sort of a steady stream of cars has made its way through here, kind of diverting through the Holiday Inn parking lot here at the intersection of Zorn and River Road. And most of the cars like this one realize it's too deep for them to go actually down any further on River Road, so they're kind of coming up this way in order to avoid the high water. Noticed a couple of U-Haul trucks in this area, as well as some of those big wreckers, those flatbed wreckers have been here actually hauling off some of the cars that have either gotten stuck overnight or people who weren't able to get through this high water and had the wrecker move them to higher ground here. So this is sort of, I don't know, I guess they always say a picture tells 1,000 words, and this is sort of an indication of how bad it really is. You look off here also at the Chevron station over here, it's kind of isolated, and some of the folks are in there right behind that wrecker. There's that van of sorts. Here comes somebody walking this way. They're actually moving their office belongings up into that trailer. They're not going to haul it off. It's just, as you can see, it gives them an extra couple of feet, and that's all they expect or all they hope. The water will rise at this point, but this is an indication, as I say, of people trying to pack up their belongings and stay a little protected as the water continues to cause problems here. Doesn't look like it's really rising too much, Scott. Obviously, some of this is backflow, and you know, the old pressure equalization theory, as it equalizes over there, it's going to equalize over here, so it's not too much of a problem right now, other than what you see, obviously.
It could be getting worse. We're talking about the river going up, 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 and I guess that's something they'll just have to kind of prepare for.
Yeah, but you know, also too, when the river rises, there's going to be, as I said, there's going to be that equalization. So some of this might disappear, some of it might appear in other low-lying areas, but it's pretty severe. And despite the years of going through this for the people who live down here, it's got to be an annoyance. It's not a pleasant task having to deal with it.
Mark Pettinger reporting live tonight from Zorn and River Road. We do have an update for you as well on the Red Cross's efforts today. 4,900 meals served so far. 150 volunteers have been involved in the effort to help with all the flood victims, and we sure say a big thanks to them for all their help today. You saw some vehicles going through water there where Mark Pettinger was reporting from. And if you get water in the vehicle, there's a lot of trouble that can occur even with the new vehicles. There's computer chips, diagnostics, all kinds of things under that hood that can go wrong. Let's take a look at some car tips now if you've got a problem. First of all, don't try to start your car until you remove the spark plugs if this thing has been flooded. Take out those plugs, try to dry out the cables, dry off the spark plug tips before you do that. Turn on the engine to get the water out, and also replace the plugs, and then attempt to start, as we said, and you'll have a lot better luck with your vehicle. If you have any questions, of course, you'll want to call a mechanic, but we're trying to give you some ideas here quickly if you've got a problem that maybe you can take care of yourself. Oil floats, so if your engine was covered by water, you may have water that has now seeped into the oil pan. So pull out the plug of the oil pan and drain the water until you see the oil. And in fact, if you're seeing water in there, you might just want to drain the whole thing and put in a fresh 4 or 5 quarts or whatever your car takes. So just a couple of tips to make sure that your car doesn't become an expensive victim of this flood disaster of 1997. We'll be back with a little bit more coverage here as we continue the 97 flood coverage on Wave 3.
There are those who appreciate a big, thick, juicy Rally Super Double. And there are those who don't. If it doesn't get all over the place, it doesn't belong in your face. Chevy Blazer with the exclusive driver control system. A little security in an insecure world.
Get fired up for the Furniture Liquidators Home Center Red Hot Red Tag Sale. Red tags show the hottest savings, like this floral print sofa for only $388, or this 18th century cherry classic bedroom. Choice of queen-size pediment rice bed, dresser with tri-view mirror or high-boy chest for only $399 each. And save up to $75 on all Serta Perfect Sleeper sets with extra bonus coupons from our Red Hot Red Tag Sale circular.
The Glass Doctor's mobile glass shops come to you wherever you are, whether it's for replacement or repair. Let the Glass Doctor replace your fogged double-pane glass units at a fraction of the cost of window replacement. And when it comes to mirrors, our pride is reflected in our work. Call the Glass Doctor for your auto, home, or business glass needs. Convenient financing, including 90 days same as cash for retail customers, direct billing to insurance companies, and the Glass Doctor may even finance your deductible. The Glass Doctor in the Yellow Pages.
So far, the 97 flood has claimed 7 lives in Kentucky that we know of, and we want to bring you up to date on that. Only one that we know of in the Jefferson County area. That was the name of the child who died at Chenoweth Run Road. It was Rashawn Willis, a 16-year-old student at St. X. He went to St. Gabriel Catholic Church in Fern Creek. apparently swept away by waters last night. We can also mention that in Barron River in Warren County, a vehicle flipped over and ended up in the water. Graves County, a truck off of a bridge. We also told you about the 13-year-old last night down by Shelbyville. The teen swept into the culvert. Also a fatal in Muhlenberg County. A man out in a rubber raft got to shore and tried to pull the boat onto shore. He fell back into the water and drowned, and 2 died in a vehicle accident in Owen County. No deaths to report so far on this Sunday. We can tell you some good news from Pendleton County. A firefighter and 3 members of family were missing. They have been recovered this morning. We'll have some cancellations and closings for you in a moment, but first we want to go to Jackie Hayes now, live on the phone to tell us the latest on what she has found as she roams around the metro area to check on the latest flooding problems. Jackie, can you hear us?
Yes, Scott, I can. I am still out, I guess, sort of north of Fairdale, at the Yorktown Apartments. That's off National Turnpike. In this unit, in this area back here, we've had 75 to 100 people as of last night who have been taken out of here. And again, if you're getting out of here, you are taken out by boat. We caught up with 2 families who just got out. We need to look at the other tape right now. The other tape that we have, there you go. These are the families we caught up with today who were leaving. They had planned to stick it out, but they have since given up. Tammy Phillips and her 2 small children, and Teresa Harlow and her young children packed up and caught their ride out. Big Jefferson County Public Works trucks are hauling people out of this neighborhood. Many had left last night. Some planned to stay, but now a lot of these people stranded with no food, no water, no electricity are going while they can. Tammy Phillips says that she has had enough of all the water and the isolation.
Water's waist high.
Are you worried? Are you scared?
Yeah. Behind us, there's a bunch of houses, and there was a pool, but you can't see the pool no more. There's no. You can't see the pool. All you see is water.
How long have you been trapped?
Since Friday night, basically Saturday morning, something like that.
Have you ever seen it this way?
Nope. I'm ready to get out.
But while some are getting out, others are determined to stay put. The Burdines have water just outside their door, but they're going to try to ride it out.
It's been okay so far. It's just been a little scary because it got pretty close to us, but we were really lucky.
Hopefully the water will go down tonight, or hope it don't get too cold tonight. You have to put a lot of blankets on the bed.
Mary Burdine is talking about a lot of blankets on the bed because, as you can see with all the water around here, there is no electricity in many of these neighborhoods. LG&E has cut the power, again, because of the threat of electrocution. There are so many problems to deal with. If you don't have power, you probably don't have food. Back in the neighborhood that you're seeing right now, we have rescuers going in by boat to get people out. It is not a mandatory evacuation. Some people are trying to stick it out. We have had some National Guard MPs now back in this area. We have heard that there was a sick child, and they have come back in here with one of those mega trucks with the wheels 5 feet tall, going back into this neighborhood, which is the Yorktown Apartments off National Turnpike, to try to get this child the medical attention that he needs. We've had a child who was burned earlier who has been brought out of this area. But again, parts of National Turnpike are underwater. When we were coming in this morning, Scott, we had water splashing up over the hood of the truck. I was glad it was a good Ford Explorer. We made it through, but it was really a scary trip in. Again, don't come out to this area to sightsee. The best pictures you'll have are right here on Wave 3. Scott?
And as you drive through that, Jackie, the concern is, too, that maybe the truck will just stop running, and then you have to get out and start walking, and that's when the trouble can really set in.
Absolutely, and I should tell you, I was headed out to church this morning when I called in to ask if we could use any help, and so I'm not really dressed for waiting. I guess I could take my high heels off, but it's not the best dressed I've ever been for a flood. But the folks, I should mention, in this area of the Yorktown Apartments have been so kind to me, and to all of our volunteers with the Sheriff's Department and others, in making sure that we have hot coffee and have a place to use the restroom. And, everybody, it's been a real sense of helping each other go through a tragedy that we hope we never have to go through again. People in this neighborhood say they have never even seen water over the sidewalks. And what they have now is water 5 foot deep in some places in this Yorktown Apartments complex.
And Jackie, I'm sure you probably heard it too this morning. I don't think there was a church in Wave Country that didn't stop to take a moment to say some prayers for all the people that are having trouble with flooding today.
Well, I promise, as we were coming through the water, with the water coming over the hood of the truck, I'm sure the photographer didn't appreciate this. I'm glad he kept his eyes open. Mine were closed as I said my little prayer just to get to the other side. I've seen too many cars swept off over the sides of the roads into the bridges to make you very careful. you know, you think that your car is heavy enough to withstand it. That's just not the case. But we apparently were heavy enough to make it through, and the live truck that we're in now, I think we're pretty lucky. There you see folks helping people in and out. It's really been a great sense of community. I'm not sure the worst is over, but at least the volunteers are here trying to make sure people, if they need medical help, are going to get it.
Well, thanks so much, Jackie. We appreciate you joining us live. We'll check back with you a little bit later. What you were seeing there, I believe, was pictures also of some of the records being taken out of the Bullitt County Courthouse in Shepherdsville. The Salt River way over its flood banks. We'll bring you up to date on that situation. We want to join live now Kim Hicks, who is in the Scottsdale area with more on the flooding going on down there. Kim?
Well, Scott, these residents around here are coping with this. As you can see, these boats out here, for some people, that's the only way that they can get to their houses. There's so much water. Well, as you can imagine, a fire here in this neighborhood has made matters only worse. As you can imagine, I talked to the homeowner, David McMillan. He is devastated because he has lost it all. Now, you saw the fire from Air 3, but we have some ground pictures. Now, what happened was the owner told me that he was asleep, and when he heard the burglar alarm go off, he got up to see what was going on, and the house was full of smoke and flames. Now, he got out okay, but firefighters had a tough time with this fire. They had to slosh through waist and thigh-high water to get to the house, and the water is very, very chilly. In fact, the Fairdale fire chief fell into the water completely. He was overcome with hypothermia and had to be taken away. I talked to some witnesses, and here's what they had to say.
No, I walked outside and we heard a couple of kids yell, house is on fire behind you. And we turned around and looked, and there was smoke coming out of the vents of the roof. And it just looked like insulation fire. And that's about all I know.
You say what, the owner was home, probably?
Right, the owner was home, and his smoke alarm warned him. And he came out and got his truck and everything, tried to get his truck out of there and some of his stuff. But he flooded out.
Well, I didn't really jump in the house or anything, but we tried to help out the firemen. They had a lot of problems getting their equipment around there. And once they set up, well, it's right over there, the portable pump, we were helping them get the hose and stuff done. And just did what we could to try to help, the neighbor out.
Tell me, you must have felt overwhelmed, what you're up against.
Yeah, we've been at it all night, I guess. All of us here have been up all night, off and on, just, checking on our basements and things like that. And when we seen the smoke coming out, everybody just wanted to give him a hand.
I feel real sorry for him because it was bad enough.
Yeah, we had enough problems. We didn't need this.
Is this the worst you've ever seen it?
Yes, ma'am, it is. In 30 years. He got up back behind the fence back there, up 4 foot, and that was as far up as it's ever got. And that was back in '64, I think, when we had that last flood. But other than that, this is the worst.
Now, the homeowner, David McMillan, he was, all he has are the clothes on his back. He was able to move his truck and his motorcycle, but that's it. Again, he did say that, well, he got out okay, but he has nothing left. Scott?
Kim, are you seeing a lot of residents there who are out of their homes but are still hanging in the area, kind of standing at water's edge, just wanting to see how much higher the water comes, or are they leaving to shelters and friends?
Well, right now, people are just kind of standing around. A lot of people left and are coming back for the first time. I talked to a woman. She says she has no idea how her house is, and so she wanted to come back for the first time, so she just came here a little while ago. So people are standing around. They're just basically in shock. Some people don't even have electricity, so that's a big problem.
All right, thanks. Kim Hicks reporting live. We'll check back with you momentarily. And we're going to be back with more continuing coverage live here on Wave 3 of the 97 flood. Please stay with us.
When you come to the 47th Annual Home Garden and Remodeling Show, there's no telling what you'll come home with. Sure, you'll get some great remodeling ideas to help you create your perfect home. And you'll get expert gardening and landscaping tips from some of the top pros in the business. But you might come away with something else, a new 3-bedroom Peterbilt home. So come to the show March 6th through the 9th at the Kentucky Fair and Expo Center. You'll leave with some great ideas and maybe a new home. Register to win at the show or in the Oakhurst subdivision every day until March 8th.
It's for you, Kentucky Derby Festival. So much to do. Yeah, it's true. The whole world is coming to see just how good the good life can be. And the song in the air, on the street everywhere.
Search no more to track down the lowest prices during Furniture Liquidators Home Center's March Madness Sale. Action by Lane rocker recliners starting at $298. Your choice of sofas only $399. Or this Ashley 4-piece bedroom at our lowest price ever, only $399. And look no further to save an extra 20% on Serta Perfect Sleepers.
Furniture Liquidators Home Center. Saving you more.
Chevy Blazer with the exclusive driver control system. A little security in an insecure world.
We're back with more coverage of the 97 flood here on Wave 3. We want to pass this along. From Taylorsville area, the Taylorsville Dam area, we're getting a lot of calls about people wondering if that dam is holding up. Well, state police say it is holding. The engineers tell us that they might have to release some water later tonight. And if they do that, before they release that water, they are going to notify the homeowners and help with any evacuations if people need help. So that's the latest on the Taylorsville Dam. We want to also mention there are some closings to pass along. Anchorage schools are closed tomorrow because of water damage. Kindergarten closing at St. Albert the Great, but that's kindergarten only. Grades 1 through 8 in session. Also, Scott County, Kentucky schools are closed tomorrow. A daycare closing at Morton Memorial Daycare and Creative Beginnings Preschool, no classes tomorrow. And the Solid Rock Church of God will have no Sunday night service at this time. We want to check the latest traffic conditions now with Catherine Grant, who has the latest on what's going on there, and some good news on 64.
Afternoon, Scott. Yes, the good news on 64 is east and westbound. Lanes did open between Story and Grinstead an hour or so ago, and everybody is able to get through now. You can go back and retrieve your car as soon as you think it's dried out enough or have it towed away, but traffic is moving again. 65 southbound still blocked at the Gene Snyder or 841. Preston's closed at the Gene Snyder too to keep traffic from going on down into Bullitt County, and if you have to get south, the only way right now is to use Dixie Highway or 31E and then circle back to get on to 65. If you plan to keep going down Dixie Highway, you're going to find it closed in several places once you get to Nelson County. The intersection of 3rd Street Road and Newcut is blocked right now to keep rubberneckers away from the Newcut Road house fire site. And a lot of problems getting firefighters in and out there. Outer Loop still underwater from I-65 to National Turnpike. Grade Lane still flooded by the Ford plant. And downtown, River Road's blocked between 3rd and 8th Streets. J-Town Police still have Old Taylorsville closed off at Real Road. Algonquin Parkway at Southwestern still underwater. And Indiana residents are still also having to deal with flooding, not quite on the same level, but have a lot of closings too. Middle Road on both sides of Allison Lane has been a real problem spot the whole weekend. People keep ignoring the barricades, but then they stall out and have to be towed out. Please do not try to drive through Middle Road on either side of Allison Lane. State Road 111 south of New Albany is flooded. Parts of State Road 11. US 31 between Sellersburg and Henryville. That's good news. It's been blocked since yesterday, but it's open again from Henryville on up, though it'll be closed. And parts of Cooper's Lane in Clark County also have some flooding. Floyd County reports high water blocking 5 Mile Lane and 7 Mile Lane. That'll be off 111 south. And Silver Creek has risen up over Rackeston Mill Road. It's been flooded at the bridge for some time. Also flooding on Armstrong Bend at Old Ford Road. The big thing here, I guess, is stay in if you can. Don't go out unless you absolutely have to. And then if you do go out and you see barricades or signs or even just water across the road if they haven't gotten a chance to put barricades up yet, do not go across. You can't guarantee how deep it's going to be, and if you go across on foot, you could have missing manhole covers or ditches that you could fall into. Just stay away from the water. Back to you, Scott.
All right, thanks, Catherine. We'll check with you shortly once again. We also have some other traffic problems we can report a little farther away. At Lebanon Junction, 65 is closed. We also have this just in that 62 is closed before Boston, Kentucky. That's near E-Town. There's no way to get back into Boston or Lebanon Junction from E-Town right now, so don't even try it if you're in Elizabethtown. And Carroll County schools are closed. We just received that. Carroll County schools will be closed tomorrow. We want to, once again, remind you of the people who have passed away as a result of the flooding of 97 here, and this has to do with not only the metro area but around Kentucky. 7 deaths total is what's reported right now. The 16-year-old Rashawn Willis, a junior at St. X High School, was missing in Jefferson County. He was found dead this morning, apparently swept away by waters. Also in Muhlenberg County, a man was out in a rubber raft. Now he got to shore, he tried to pull the boat onto shore, and that's when he went back into the water, was swept away. He died. A Shelby County teen was swept into the culvert. We reported that last night, the 13-year-old. And also Graves County, there was a truck off a bridge. Barren River in Warren County, a lady overturned her van. She died in that accident, and 2 died in an accident in Owen County. That's the total of fatals right now, 7 from this 97 flood. We have some more closings we'd like to pass along, so let's take a look at that. The Solid Rock Church of God, as we reported, no Sunday night service there. That's one of the church closings we have so far. And also daycare closings. Morton Memorial Daycare and Creative Beginnings Preschool, no classes on Monday. We wanted to mention that once again. A lot of people will be making phone calls, I'm sure, just to make sure if their schools or daycares are open tomorrow. Scott County in Kentucky is closed on Monday. Also, as we told you, Carroll County schools in Kentucky are closed tomorrow as well. And in kindergarten, St. Albert the Great, but this is kindergarten only. Grades 1 through 8 will be functioning tomorrow, so that is closed. St. Albert the Great's kindergarten. We just got this in that 31 East is closed. Bardstown Road beyond Mount Washington. Don't try to get to Bardstown that way. 31 East is closed. The roads continue to have troubles. They continue to close as the water starts to pop up in different areas and move around from this flooding problem that we're having. And we'll be back with more coverage of the 97 flood in just a moment. Stay with us.
There's a source for all of your words to travel through. One simple, powerful source, Bell South. We're bringing together every kind of technology, local and long distance, internet access, wireless, yellow pages, interactive and beyond. One single source that connects your words in every way, because a word can have many meanings, but it means nothing until it's shared. Bell South.
Yep, this is the new sunroom. I'm real happy with their work. My guess is they're a small local company, father and son thing. All I know is I got a great deal and great service. You can just tell when it's a small local company. Got exactly what I wanted.
Small town service, big company support. That's Patio Enclosures Incorporated.
I think the grandmother answers the phone.
Smith's store-wide Night Owl sale is happening now through Saturday with big savings on name brand appliances, electronics, furniture, and bedding. Zenith 20-inch stereo TV with universal remote control, only $199. RCA personal CD player with car DC adapter and stereo headphones, just $79. Frigidaire extra large capacity 7-cycle washer, only $329. So arrive early or late, but get to Smith's Night Owl sale. Smith's Furniture, Appliance, and Electronics. That's who.
It's for you, Kentucky Derby Festival. So much to do. Yeah, it's true. The whole world is coming to see just how good the good life can be. And the song in the air, on the street, everywhere. It's the Kentucky Derby Festival. It's for you. It's for you.
We're back with more coverage of the 97 flood, and we've got a couple of things that have just come in. We've been told that the Taylorsville Dam will not have to have water released tonight, and that residents downstream don't have to worry about waiting for a call and waiting for evacuation help. Engineers are saying that that will not be necessary this evening at Taylorsville Dam. From Radcliffe, South Wilson Road in Radcliffe near the Dixie Highway is closed. It is underwater once again. That is the South Wilson Road in Radcliffe. Near Dixie Highway, that is closed and underwater. We've got some more stuff being handed to me right now. 55 from Bloomfield to Taylorsville is closed. That's 55 from Bloomfield to Taylorsville is closed. The good news about I-64 is that it is open again from Melwood to Grinstead. Police have removed stranded vehicles to the emergency lanes. They want the owners of the cars to know, though, that they want their vehicles picked up by 6:30. If they don't pick up their vehicles by 6:30, they'll be towed to the Cherokee Park parking lot. That is located on the southeast corner of Grinstead Drive at Lexington Road. And a guard will be there for pickup if you're after 6:30 to get your vehicle. But if you have a vehicle stranded in that area of I-64 around the tunnel, Melwood to Grinstead area, last night a lot of people tried to drive through that once police put up the barricades. That was around 10:30 last night. Some folks thought they could get through, they could make it through on this interstate that has never been closed in that area before, we were told. And they were ticketed. They were stopped for trying to make it. Those who did pull over, though, now they need to get there to pick up their vehicles before they do get towed. The problem is that they need to clear that area of vehicles for safety concerns, and those vehicles would end up, if you don't get them in time, at the Cherokee Park parking lot on the southeast corner of Grinstead and Lexington Road. Also, we wanted to mention a couple of other things for you, that the Carroll County schools, that one was just called in, they are closed tomorrow as well. We've got a bunch of road closings coming in as this continues to change. Anchorage schools are closed tomorrow as well. We also have another sheet of information being brought to me at this time that the death toll from severe storms in Arkansas now stands at 24. We're much more fortunate here in Kentucky with the toll at 7 at the latest check. The state's governor says that figure is expected to climb as well in Arkansas because they had a lot of problems with tornadoes. In fact, the governor is saying it was a year's worth of tornadoes. So the death toll continues to climb in Arkansas. We do have some video of that as well, of what has gone on there, the devastation from the tornadoes. Arkansas hit by so many of them. President Clinton even talked to the governor about the destruction in Clinton's home state, and afterward the governor there said he would seek a federal disaster declaration covering at least 8 counties in the state of Arkansas. This storm, the water we got, a lot of it came up from the Arkansas area, but you can see that in Arkansas they had problems beyond the rainfall. They had that tornado count going up and up, more than 200 people injured, hundreds of homes and businesses and other structures were destroyed. We've at least avoided severe damage from tornadoes in our area.
In our immediate area, down in parts of western Kentucky and parts of southeastern Kentucky last night, we had several tornado warnings issued down there. Damage reports that we were getting in last night were actually kind of sketchy because it just happened, but I know around Glasgow that they had 75% of the city without power last night as the storms passed through that area, and also off to the east. In Greene County, there was some damage, possibly by a tornado. We had a couple of warnings that came out around 1 a.m. this morning in that area as the storms were passing by. So we've had a little bit of the severe weather, but we've had just an unbelievable amount of rain. It's just incredible, and there's more coming our way. I've been calculating some of the river totals, too, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. Bring you up to speed on what we've seen so far as the rain is concerned. Yesterday, from midnight to midnight, we picked up 10.5 inches of rain. That sets a new Louisville record, but also sets a state record. We've never seen that much rain in a 24-hour period in the state of Kentucky before. From the beginning of this storm, Friday through Saturday, we picked up just about 11.5 inches of rain, and actually the entire storm total, if you count the rain that came in after midnight last night, early this morning, and it continued to rain up until 2 or 3 o'clock this morning, we're talking about a total in excess of 11.5 inches for this entire storm. As far as the rivers are concerned, we've been watching them very closely, and obviously we've got some problems developing around the rivers. On the Ohio River, the crest is expected to be on Wednesday. The McAlpin Upper is going to be at 37.5 feet, and that's 14.5 feet above the flood stage. And McAlpin Lower is 69.0 feet. That's going to be Wednesday afternoon as well. That's 18 feet above the flood stage. So this is the highest levels we've seen on the Ohio River since March of 1964. So we're talking about a substantial flood coming our way. And we've seen a lot of floods over the past few years along the Ohio River, and this is one that's going to go back all the way to 64. As far as the Kentucky River is concerned, the crest should be Monday at 47 feet. That's a foot below the 1989 record, and that's also going to be about 16 feet above their flood stage there. Salt River crest will be today, and it looks like that level is going to be at 37.5 feet, the highest they've seen since 1964, and that's going to be about 5.5 feet above their flood stage. Rolling Fork, they're going to crest at about 5.5 feet, or 50.5 feet rather, and that's about 15.5 feet above their flood stage, the highest level they've seen there since 1984 in the areas around Boston, Kentucky, and that's the reason, you know, as Scott was telling you a moment ago, we're having a lot of problems about getting in and out of that area. The flood is, the waters have started to rise so much in those areas, the roadways are unpassable at this point. East Fork of the White River is going to crest at 17 feet. That's going to be on Monday afternoon. Looking around the areas around Seymour, it looks like it's going to be about 5 feet above the flood stage, so undoubtedly some problems coming that way. Muscatatuck is actually going to take a little while for all of this to run down in there, so it's going to take about Tuesday when they'll see the crest there, and it's going to be about a foot below the December level. So they've seen worse flooding in that area, but nonetheless, it's still coming their way, and it's just going to take a couple of days before it gets on in. Satellite picture right now showing the cloud cover that's building on over the bluegrass right now, southern Indiana. This is the rain that we're talking about coming our way for tonight. We've seen a radical change in what we'd expected to happen. A low pressure cell that's formed back down to our southwest looked like it was going to move almost due east. Now it looks like it's going to start curving back up to the north, and actually it should make a northerly turn a little bit later on for tonight. Computer models are in agreement on this one at this point, so it looks pretty certain we're going to see some rain pushing on into the area here in the next little bit. This is the Doppler radar right now. You can see some thunderstorms beginning to develop back out to the southwest and down to the south of Louisville. Once again, right now movement is to the east, but we still expect this to start making a gradual turn back up to the north, so that means more showers coming into the flooded areas around Jefferson County and all of the Ohio Valley. We're going to see more showers moving our way for tonight. Here's a wider view. Heavier thunderstorms are back down south. They're back in parts of Tennessee, moving out of Mississippi, and they're going to be moving into parts of Alabama. This entire frontal system has stalled out, and the low pressure cell is just moving along the front, and it's going to make its way back up to the northeast. So we're going to deal with this one for tonight, and at least for early tomorrow. After that, it looks like things should start to clear out just a little bit. Cloudy skies for the rest of the afternoon. Looks like our high will be around 48 degrees. Rain likely for tonight. We could get about a ½ inch to an inch in the area. The low temperature should drop down to about 38 degrees. We'll see cloudy skies all night. Chance of showers in the morning for tomorrow. Then it looks like we could see some sunshine developing by tomorrow afternoon, late tomorrow afternoon. 46 degrees, the high coming up for tomorrow. And we've got some sunshine back in the forecast coming up for Tuesday. 62 degrees there, 55 coming up on Wednesday. Sunshine should continue up till Friday. We've got a chance of showers there again, then clearing skies perhaps by Saturday. So it looks like we can get through this episode of showers tonight, Scott, and the next time we'll see some rain will be around Friday. So that's not too bad. If we can get several days of dry weather, we can start cleaning some of this up.
And by Friday, that shouldn't compound the problem we have now. There should be enough of a lapse there.
Right, and if we don't get a lot of rain out of the system tonight, it's just going to slow things down. It shouldn't add to the problem, so it looks like it's going to just slow things down for us tonight.
All right, thanks much. Craig, we're going to go to Connie Lender right now, who's back up in Air 3 with the latest pictures from the sky. And Connie, where are you at right now? Connie, can you hear us?
Hi, Scott. I'm having a little trouble hearing you, but I think that you can hear us, so we're going to start talking. We are over at Waldoa Beach, and I know you've just come into the picture. We want to let you see exactly what's going on. You can see a truck down there pulling a boat out. Folks are getting their things and heading out. This is a area of Louisville that is always ready for flooding. They know that it's going to happen sooner or later, and at this point the Ohio is getting higher and higher, and when we were here earlier today, we saw a few folks getting things hauled out, getting their furniture ready. You can see up on the decks they've still got a few things pulled out there. Most of these folks again have been through this situation before, but some of them are getting quite tired of it. Have told us recently in the past that this may be one of the last times they're here. As you can see, a thrifty rental truck right there pulling up to the house. Folks are just trying to get out what they can. At this point, the water has risen quite a great deal since we were here a few hours ago at Waldoa. Again, the road that leads back to these homes is just covered. You could see it a little clearer when we were here before. But again, these folks call themselves river rats, and a lot of them will stay no matter what happens. They seem to be the same folks we visit year after year. We're going to, in a few minutes, show you also Cox Park, a wide view just down the way from here. You can see it looks like a huge lake right now. Some of the smaller trees are pretty much covered up, and just by looking at this, it looks like it's part of the Ohio River. It's almost hard to figure out where it stops and where it begins, Scott.
Connie Leonard joining us live from Air 3. We'll check back with you momentarily. We do want to pass this along. People in the Shepherdsville, Bullitt County area who have problems, who need some help, you're asked to call this phone number, 543-1107. That's 543-1107. 1107, the number to call in the Shepherdsville area. They're also in desperate need of blankets, used blankets at the Red Cross shelter set up at the Bullitt Central High School in Shepherdsville. Bullitt County officials are also asking for anyone who has a boat, a motorized flat-bottom boat, the John boat type, maybe with just a trolling type motor on it, 1.5, 2.5, 5 horsepower motor, to get those boats down there. They could use them to help evacuate people in the flood areas. You're supposed to bring those boats to Buckman Street in Shepherdsville. That's near the Salt River crossing. We'll have some incredible numbers for you, too, on the damage total so far caused by the 97 flood. That and much more when our coverage continues in a moment.
Better buckle up, folks, because it's a cold one out there today.
Just a reminder, nothing feels as warm as clean, efficient natural gas from LG&E. LG&E, our energies go to serving you.
Star Ford has just made a special purchase direct from Ford Motor Company. 50 96 Taurus all priced at $13,588. 25 96 Contours all priced at $11,488. 10 96 Lincoln Town Cars all priced at $24,488. No negotiations necessary. So hurry in now for your best selection. These vehicles are sold with a 48-hour exchange policy and are under full factory warranty from Star Ford at Oxmoor, the Ford discount outlet.
The Chevy Blazer with the exclusive driver control system. A little security in an insecure world.
Get fired up for the Furniture Liquidators Home Center Red Hot Red Tag Sale. Red tags show the hottest savings, like this floral print sofa for only $388, or this 18th century cherry classic bedroom. Choice of queen-size pediment rice bed, dresser with tri-view mirror or high-boy chest for only $399 each. And save up to $75 on all Serta Perfect Sleeper sets with extra bonus coupons from our Red Hot Red Tag Sale circular.
Scott Reynolds back here in the Wave 3 studios with continuing coverage of the 97 flood. Last night at about 9:15, we heard at a press conference Judge Executive Dave Armstrong talking about the damage total, $51.7 million. That was last night at just shortly after 9 o'clock. If you even just add on the damage that has happened out at the Ford truck plant where they build the Explorers out on Fern Valley Road, they said about 1,500 of them are underwater. If you just try to add that up, they can get up to $30,000 a piece, but say $25,000 average vehicle price. 4 vehicles is $100,000, 40 vehicles is $1 million, 400 vehicles, $10 million. You could start seeing that they're looking around $40 million worth of damage out there in vehicles if those vehicles were totaled, had to be claimed as total loss. That's the kind of damage estimates we're looking at here. The numbers are going to be staggering by the time they add all of this up, I'm sure. We've got some videotape now from the Shepherdsville area. Let's take a look at that. The flooding there has been extreme. Connie Leonard has been live from that area today as well, from Air 3. It's a situation where it's just not passable on most of the roads at this time. We've seen power lines that are actually underwater. That's how deep the water has gotten at certain points. Canoes have been the main mode of transportation in the Scottsdale subdivision today. Let's go back to Andrea Stevenson live for the latest on what's going on there. Andrea?
Well, Scott, a lot of neighbors have been helping neighbors around here, including Ron Grassman. He set up a makeshift kennel for wayward dogs. They have been going back into the flooded out areas and trying to rescue some dogs for owners that are concerned. Right now, what are you trying to do?
Well, at this point, we're just set up some pens to be able to at least have the folks to have a home that they can leave them at this point until they can find relatives or someone who may have the ability to come take them. At this point, we're just trying to maintain them and keep them as calm as possible. I was able to take a boat out earlier, and throughout the neighborhood, there is still animals that I saw that were up on higher ground trying to stay out of as much as possible.
We just had a lady that came up here. She's quite upset. She's lost her Akita and her Cocker Spaniel. Is that kind of what you're trying to do here? Maybe trying to rescue some dogs that look like they've been stranded?
If at all possible. Most of it has been individuals who have, at the point, come off the boats, and of course they have their somewhat belongings that they could take with them. And at this point, we're just trying to make it as easy on the individuals as possible. The burden of an animal right now sometimes is a little bit tough, so we've just been allowing them to stay here until they could come back and pick their animals up.
All right, Ron Grassman, thank you very much for talking to us. Ron is just one of the folks that is down here in the area trying to help out. A lot of people are bringing their boats in so they can help people get back into their home, gather some of the belongings that they can, and also get some pets. This whole road right here has kind of become a makeshift boat ramp.
Go ahead, get in. You got
The roadways in the Scottsdale subdivision are more like waterways. For residents, it was another day of high water. A second night of stormy weather brought the water level even higher into their homes. Boats evacuate those stranded overnight.
It's looking pretty bad. Looks like we got about 2 foot up on the side of my house. All I can do now is hope that not a lot of water got in there. Y'all been catching any bass? Huh?
I gotta stop.
Some homeowners are trying to keep their spirits up as they boat in to assess the damage. Mike Gaines guesses the water came up as high as a foot in his home. He gathers a few belongings and hopes for the best.
Well, I know I bawled my eyes out on the way here, on the way out of the house last night. It was amazing. I think the biggest thing that hurt me was seeing the pain in everybody's eyes.
Flood victims feel helpless against the standing sea of water that now isolates their most precious belongings. The Jefferson County Police dive team is helping them through the worst.
Just we find some people that are waiting it out, and then some people want to get out, and then we find some people who want to go by and maybe get some belongings, because a lot of people just got out with what they had on, so they want to go out and get some clothes and stuff. So we try to accommodate those people also.
Now, emergency workers say their main concern right now is the elderly and folks that are back there with special needs that need medication. They have had several calls from people concerned about their parents and their family. So far, everyone has made it to safety. And an interesting story, emergency workers told me earlier today they had to go in and rescue an expectant mother who didn't want to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, just in case the baby decided to come early. Scott?
Yeah, that'd be a first priority, I would think, Andrea.
Definitely.
All right, thanks, Andrea Stevenson. We'll get back to you a little bit later. We showed you, told you about those vehicles out at the Ford plant on Fern Valley Road that were underwater. Air 3 has a picture of that right now. Connie Leonard joins us live once again from high above that plant. Connie, what can you tell us?
Well, Scott, you can see it for yourself. Have you ever seen so many nice vehicles, nice trucks, that is, in the swimming pool? Now you have. Certainly, from what we heard, I believe 1,500 at least in this lot. Very waterlogged, very, very waterlogged. I smell some kind of sale coming up here pretty soon. But some of these vehicles, of course, are so far in the water. I don't really know what they're going to do with them at this point. But of course, Kim Hicks earlier today brought us a view from the ground of this. A big loss here for Ford, but you know, again, I'm sure all these vehicles are insured, so I'm guessing so. Not a huge problem for them. It is quite a sight to see from the air. Scott?
That's not the kind of thing you want to see if you're a new car dealer, that's for sure. You're waiting for some Explorers to come. That's a pretty popular vehicle, and you need some on your lot. And the workers, it's probably going to take quite some time to get those things refurbished and back on the road.
I'm sure there are a lot of dealers waiting on these Explorers, so it's going to put them back quite a bit here at Ford. Something I'm sure that they didn't expect, this type of flooding in this area. It's the last thing you would have expected, the last place also that you would have expected to flood.
Connie, I don't know if you can tell this from your vantage point, but Craig Edwards was just mentioning there's probably a lot of gas floating around out there as well, just because a lot of those vehicles might have had tanks fairly full, and it's hard to say, but there might be oil, gas, other kinds of lubricants floating around in that water too.
That's very possible. We can see from here a lot of garbage cans and other kinds of things floating around in that water. I certainly wouldn't want to get out in it and start exploring, no pun intended, but certainly quite a mess here as far as the company is concerned.
All right, thanks. Connie Leonard reporting live from Air 3. I guess the one vehicle that you might like to have at this time, and I haven't seen one on the road in ages, one of those old Volkswagen Things. They were amphibious, but I don't think there's any of them running anymore. We're going to be back with much more coverage of the '97 flood. Please stay with us.
I believe in my bluegrass home. Yes, I believe.
Ask people what they think, and they'll tell you. All you have to do is listen. That's exactly what Wave 3 is doing. When Wave 3 news comes to your town or neighborhood, tell us what's on your mind so we can better cover your community concerns. And let Wave 3 listen.
I believe that the spirit of Wave Country is the spirit of Channel 3.
The $5 bill, so many nicknames, the fiver, the 5-spot, $5. And now, Red Roof Inn's own version. Bobby?
The Red Roof Inn. Play on words. That's $5 in cash that you'll get every night you stay at Red Roof Inns when you check in with this coupon.
To check out improvements going on now nationwide, get your $5 cash back coupon in next week's USA Today.
I thank you, and he...
Chevy Blazer with the exclusive driver control system. A little security in an insecure world.
This is one thing I don't think we've talked about much, if at all, concerning our coverage of the '97 flood, and that is the downside of when you leave your residence. It happens in a lot of disasters where looting can take place, and we have a resident now from Bluegrass Avenue, David Hammersley, joining us live on the phone to talk about the fact that he's had to chase some people away. David, what can you tell us of what's going on in your neighborhood?
You hear us, David?
Yeah, I'm David Hammersley.
Yeah, David, what can you tell us about a problem you've
encountered?
I can barely hear you.
You can barely hear me?
Yeah, you got like an echo.
Okay. We apologize for that. Can you describe what the trouble is in your neighborhood?
What the trouble is, people going through our trash when we're putting it out. We got enough problems as it is. And we asked them to leave it alone, and they won't do it. And I was threatened by this one guy. He said, if you think you got trouble now, you come out here and you'll find out. I told him to get off the property, and he picked up a sweeper pipe and threatened me. And I told him, I said, well, do what you have to do, but I mean, nothing happened. But I got his license plate number, told him you're going to be subject to an arrest for threatening. And then he come back the second time and put the stuff back, and he gave my wife trouble and started cursing her, and I went back out again. And he started back at me again. And I told him, I said, police is on the way, which I'm going to have a man arrested.
What's he trying to take?
What? Just stuff we're setting out. There was a lamp, a scale. There's clothes out there that's been through it, you know. People just they'll just take anything they want to.
Is this the only
Individual that you've seen trying to do that in your neighborhood?
So far, yeah, we got a sign out there, but don't pay attention to nothing.
And are there a lot of people on your block that have taken stuff out of their homes
No,
to set
not
it
yet.
up?
There's 2 of us so far. I don't know what flood people's got. You know, I don't know who got it. See, we set there's a few of us that sits in the low line here on Bluegrass. We was in this one 3 years ago. The flood had come through down the alley, down towards Bluegrass, down to Cliff. On that 3 years ago, when we had that bad rain, that flood.
Mm-hmm.
We was in that again. We was in that. Now we're in it again. We had sewage back up, came all up through our basement.
Mr. Hammersley, I take it boils your blood to no end to see that someone's trying to take advantage of you in this situation.
Yeah, it's not the idea. This is the second time I went through it, and I probably, in the neighborhood, in 3 years, I've lost probably $10,000, $12,000. I lost 2 collections of baseball, football, basketball cards. I'm not happy about that, see?
Yeah.
I can't, for some reason, use my basement. Why MSD that? Why this is happening? I'm not through with MSD, okay? Not this time.
Okay.
Twice in 3 years. I'm not going to let it happen again. They're going to do something about it.
You and a lot of other people, I'm sure, frustrated at this point. Thanks for joining us. David Hammersley on the phone from Bluegrass Avenue talking about the downside of what can happen in situations like this. Setting some valuables out near the street, and someone tries to come along and take them. He got a license number, and apparently that person brought those things back, but there's a little bit of a shouting match going on between those folks. But the main story of what's been going on, of course, since this rainfall started on Friday night, is all the people helping, including the Red Cross, with 4,900 meals served so far. They've got 150 volunteers that are working hard to help everybody. 7 shelters are open right now as people continue to come in. The estimated shelter populations to date so far, more than 1,000 people have used those shelters, and realize that many people have never had to use them because they'll evacuate their neighborhood. They've maybe got a relative to go to, a relative to pick them up. They never had to make that stopover at a shelter or even use that shelter for an overnight stay. We can also tell you that Connie Leonard is live up in Air 3. We'll be going back to her shortly. And we've got a help number that we haven't used yet to bring up for you right now. Actually, we did mention this about 15 minutes ago, but we didn't get a chance to put it up on the screen for you. And that is Shepherdsville and Bullitt County area residents who need some help. Try this number, 543-1107. That's 543-1107. One of the most dramatic pictures we've shown today, I think, was the Bullitt County Courthouse surrounded by water, and a big semi brought in to haul out the records to try to keep them from becoming flooded and ruined today. We're going to be back with much more coverage. Stay with us as we continue to cover the 97 flood.
It's Plymouth Breeze sale time, and Plymouth is now reducing your payments with $1,000 cash back. You can buy a new 97 Plymouth Breeze for only $14,360. Front-wheel drive, air, dual airbags, seating for 5, and great gas mileage. Or lease a new 97 Plymouth Breeze for $219 a month. Buy a Breeze or lease a Breeze during Plymouth Breeze sale time, only at your Chrysler and Plymouth dealer.
I didn't even test drive it. I had driven the Grand Marquis 3 years ago. That was sold then. Driving in city traffic on the freeways requires a lot of power, and the Grand Marquis provides that power. It's nice and quiet. People can talk. Get a load of this trunk. It's huge. I really thought I got a lot for my money. I really got a car, as far as I'm concerned, that drives like a much more expensive car. I love to roll the windows up, crank the stereo up, and play my harmonica. Nice car, isn't it?
Imagine yourself in a Mercury now.
Although the Becker Law Office is located in Louisville, we've helped hundreds of people in counties throughout Kentucky and southern Indiana. Our attorneys and staff are ready to put our firm's power and resources to work for you wherever you live in the region, getting you the justice you deserve. Home or hospital legal care is available if you can't come to us. Call us today. Let us put your mind at ease.
There's something new at Dairy Queen, and so good. I feel like my mind's gone fishing, all because of their new fish strip basket. It's from the same people who cooked up the chicken strip basket. 4 natural cod fillet strips with lemon pepper seasoning, Texas toast, fries, and tartar sauce. It's got my head swimming. The new fish strip basket at Dairy Queen. If you ask me, it's the only fish in the sea. For hot eats, cool treats, think DQ.
So far, the 97 flood has claimed 7 lives that we know of in Kentucky. We just wanted to recap again that the one in Jefferson County is Rashawn Willis, a 16-year-old St. X Jr. was found dead this morning after being swept away by waters. Also a fatal in Muhlenberg County, a man in a rubber raft there. There have been a number of vehicle accidents, Barron River, Warren County, Graves County, also the 13-year-old in Shelby County who was swept away by waters at a culvert, and then 2 dying in a vehicle accident in Owen County. That has not changed so far. The body count still stands at 7 from this 97 flood. For closings that might affect you tomorrow, the Solid Rock Church of God actually tonight is not having a Sunday night service. That's the church closing that we have in so far. And other closings to show you today, as we can move along here, the daycare closings, Morton Memorial Daycare and Creative Beginnings Preschool, no classes on Monday. And school closings include Carroll County in Kentucky. Anchorage has water damage at the school, closed. Scott County in Kentucky called us to tell us they are closed as well. Those are the closings we have to pass along so far. Kindergarten at St. Albert the Great, by the way, is closed tomorrow as well, although grades 1 through 8 will be open. That's the latest we have on the closings right now. And I'm sure we will probably get some more in as the day goes on. I believe we still plan to join basketball, NBA basketball, at about 3:30, although we do have a press conference coming up at Command Center down at City Hall with the latest information from city and county officials, so we may have to join that, and that could possibly move into basketball time. For a lot of people who've been so busy dealing with this flood today and thought they were going to spend the day watching a basketball game that was very important to the Kentucky Wildcats, if you haven't heard, we can pass along that Kentucky lost today to 6th-ranked South Carolina in a game that was played at Rupp Arena, a game that did not go well for Kentucky really from the beginning. They barely ever led in this game. Even though Ron Mercer had 18 by halftime, Kentucky was in trouble, trailed at the half, and lost that game 72-66 today. So that gives South Carolina the SEC championship. The conference tournament, of course, for the Wildcats is coming up starting this week, and we will have coverage down there starting on Wednesday down in Memphis for the SEC tournament, where the Cats hope to get back on track for the NCAA tournament. Connie Leonard is having trouble hearing us from Air 3, but we're going to join her once again for another live report from above the flood damage. Connie?
Scott, if you can see right now, we are over I-65. We're about 2 miles from Shepherdsville, just near the Brooks Road exit. And about every hour, we've been checking in on I-65, giving an update of the situation. We were here about a little over an hour ago. I guess traffic was backed up for 2 to 3 miles on both sides. It was really amazing. Now you can still see we still got a lot of heavy water right here on I-65 near Shepherdsville. Cars are taking it very slowly. Traffic has eased up a little bit. It's not quite as bad as it was, but you can see our photographer Mike Theobald is going to give you a shot of the backup of traffic. It's still pretty bad, but now it appears on both lanes, at least 2 lanes of traffic is going through on the north and southbound lanes. But just look at that water. I mean, who wants to try and go across that? That's why folks are taking it so slowly. And also, we've still got our wrecker services out here just waiting to see if somebody happens to not be able to make it across. They've been out here for a couple of hours now. The police are also out here watching folks. Earlier, when it was a little bit worse of a situation, they really couldn't close down I-65. What a mess that would be. Already, when they closed down I-64 overnight, that certainly was a disaster for all the law enforcement agencies around. So they try to keep it open, and it appears to be going well at this point, as you can see.
All right, that's Connie Leonard from Air 3. She's having trouble hearing us, so we won't ask her any questions at this time. We do want to report, and this is at this point something that is just speculation. It is just being checked out now. We're being told that police are looking into the possibility of 2 missing juveniles in extreme southwestern Jefferson County, Scottsgath Road, near the Jefferson Forest. That is being checked out. It's some traffic we picked up from the police chopper, and that is being checked out at this time to see if there is any truth to the fact that there might be 2 missing juveniles in that area. Just handed to me right now at Station House number 2 in Fairdale, 3rd Street at the Outer Loop. They're out of paper cups, plates, and stuff like that. They'd like some coffee mate. Does anyone have any for them? They'd appreciate your bringing it down for the firefighters and the emergency workers who are putting in the long hours as they help the flood victims. That's the Station House number 2 in Fairdale at 3rd Street and Outer Loop. If you can help out with some of those things like cups, plates, and items to go along with some hot coffee, they surely would appreciate that down there. Another road closing, 31 East is closed. Bardstown Road beyond Mount Washington. They're asking you not to try to get to Bardstown by taking that route. One that we forgot to pass along a couple of minutes ago, Hudson Foods. No 3rd shift for processing tonight. Maintenance is to report on a regular schedule at Hudson Foods. Again, Hudson Foods with no 3rd shift processing going on tonight, but maintenance workers are asked to report as usual. And we have shown you some of the flooding moving up along the Ohio River. They're putting up a flood wall as we speak near downtown Louisville. Kelly Burkeen has been providing reports from down there. There are a number of road closings to report, but we can tell you that I-64 is back open once again, heading out of Louisville. There was a problem down by Grinstead all the way to Melwood. Last night that was closed off at about 10:30. all the vehicles that are still there, if you were one of the vehicles that was stranded there, you need to go back and get your car, or they're going to tow that away. And they're giving you until 6:30 to get the vehicle before they take those vehicles to the southeast corner of Grinstead Drive at Lexington to the Cherokee Park parking lot. So that's the latest on those vehicles. You need to get them out. We do have a press conference beginning right now down at City Hall. Let's join that in progress at Command
What I'd
Center.
like to do is to go through with you some of the things that the various city and county agencies have passed along to us, as well as some of the other organizations that are helping us with our activities here. First of all, I want to note that as of probably about 10 or 15 minutes ago, we were notified that the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet has opened Interstate 65 between Jefferson County and Elizabethtown. That had been closed because of some flooding in Bullitt County, and traffic had been rerouted up through 31W Dixie Highway. But the Transportation Cabinet advised us probably about 20 minutes ago that that has been reopened now. So that should be a big help for folks who are traveling north-south on Interstate 65. We also were advised just before our 2 o'clock staff meeting that Interstate 64 east and west is now open. And stranded motorists who were had to leave up there and had their vehicles up on Interstate 64 and had to leave them up there, those vehicles are still up there. And if you can get back up in there and get your vehicle out by 6:30, it will be up on the interstate where you left it. At that point, the tow services for city are going to move up there, and they're going to start taking those vehicles off the interstate to a lot at Lexington and Grinstead, which is across from the BP station. And that's where the vehicles will be found. That operation will begin at 6:30 p.m. this evening for people who have their vehicles up there and they want to go back up and get those. Last count I had, it was over 100 vehicles that included cars and trucks. There are a number of streets and street closures that we've gotten. The mayor and the judge will talk some about that. We've had some handouts we've given out, and the judge will have more on that from the county standpoint. In the parks, Cherokee Park is closed. We do not want to encourage people to head down towards Cherokee Park, either to walk in it, to go canoeing or rafting or any of those things in there. Cherokee Park is closed. The connector roads between Cherokee and Seneca is also closed. We cannot afford for people to be back in those areas. There are a number of other road problems, and they are on a list that we will be passing out. If you haven't already got one, you will be getting one shortly. LG&E Gas has about 20 crews out right now. They are going neighborhood to neighborhood, door to door, knocking on doors. If people are there, they are working with those folks to see if they can check on their gas service and restore their gas service. If they miss you and you need to have your gas service checked on, you need to call the LG&E Gas trouble number, which is 589-5511. And they will try to get you on their list, and as they get back into your neighborhood, they will check on your gas service again and try to help you get it turned back on. We've also had some situations where customers have requested for gas to be turned off. Primarily issues like where their basements are flooded and they're concerned, and until it goes down, they wanted the gas service turned off. So they're dealing with those, and all those kinds of things should be handled through the gas trouble number, 589-5511. LG&E electric calls are also being handled to turn service back on and turn it off where basements and other appliances may be underwater. Calls for turning the electric back on are being evaluated by the crews and will be handled if the crews feel that the situation is safe. We're not going to turn electric service back on in an area where we don't believe it's safe. If you have underground electric utilities coming into a property or to a trailer home and the water is still on the ground in that area, we can't afford to take a chance in turning electric service back on because we may wind up creating a hazard for the people in the residences and for the rescue workers or anyone else who might be working in that area. So we won't be turning electric back on until those areas are safe, and LG&E electric service can be contacted if you have questions about that. Their electric service number is 589-3500. Electric tells us that they've got about 300 people that are out of service at this time. Some of those are probably from turnoffs, and there may be a few troubles, but the electric situation is in pretty good shape at this point. I don't have a gas figure on that, but my understanding is it's fairly small. And most of those were voluntary turnoffs or turnoffs because of the flooding. I mean, in terms of trouble, the trouble situation is very small, Sheldon. The other situations are mostly turnoffs. Don't have a good handle on that. As I mentioned, state transportation is advised that Interstate 65 is now open. They are evaluating some of their state roads for things like the strengths of the berm and whether roads have been undercut by water. They're checking out, for example, in the Fisherville area where Fisherville Road had some subsidence or some may have some concerns about the berm. They'll be looking at their bridges and their road structure out there throughout the day and into the next week time. The Jefferson County Works Department has decided to split their assets into 2 shifts. They're now working 2 shifts to cover the 24 hours. On the short term, they're evaluating the county road network, looking at shoulders, making repairs where they can. They are still bringing people out of subdivisions in parts of Jefferson County. And so that is taxing some of their resources. In some areas, they've had to use the large county works dump trucks. That's been the only way they've been able to go into these areas and get people back out. And so they are still tied up in that activity, and they're also beginning to plan for the cleanup. They will begin to work on that as waters recede and they get a chance to start tackling those in areas that are now ready to be cleaned up. That's going to be a long, time-consuming process. We all need to be patient, and they'll get to each of these areas as they can arrange their staff. They've got a lot of work to do out there. We ask you, if you're driving in areas where there has been a lot of water over the road, to be very careful. Where roads have been hit by a lot of sheet water passing over them, there is some concern about shoulder erosion, trees that may be falling down. The ground is so saturated. We have had some problems, particularly out in the forest areas, where we've got a lot of trees that have been growing, big old trees. The ground is so soft that they have literally, for no reason, just fallen over. So, I mean, you may drive down a road, it may be fine, get to a point where you can't turn around and go back. You may find that there's a tree that's suddenly come down. So, I mean, there are some hazards in some potential areas. Again, driving through water with debris, water that's on roads, you could find debris under that water. You could find subsidence under that water. We are not encouraging you to drive your vehicles over roads that have water on them because there are hazards in those areas. The National Guard is continuing to help us here in Jefferson County. They are still using their large military vehicles to get in and out of areas where we are not able to get into them with any other means. County EMS advised us during the course of our staff briefing that they have had some problems getting in with their ambulances because of where the air intakes are in those vehicles. And the National Guard has been the only way we've been able to get some folks out of these areas. So, you know, keep in mind that they are out there in these big vehicles, and we've had some situations where we've taken people out and they've decided to go back in. Now, if you're going to be taken out of an area that's flooded and you decided to go back into an area and flooded, you may be doing so at your own risk. I mean, we can't keep expending resources to keep getting you out of an area that we've just gotten you out of. So, you know, let's use some common sense here, folks. We need some help. We've got a lot of county resources that have been spread very thin throughout the city and county, and these folks are getting tired, and we're going to get real tired if we have to keep taking you out of these areas more than once. We do expect that the National Guard is going to have to shift some resources to our neighboring counties to the south. Bullitt County, Lebanon Junction has been hit pretty hard, and we do know that they'll have to be doing some shifting of some resources in that area. The Louisville Water Company has told us that the water quality is good. Pressure within the water system here of the Louisville Water Company is good. That's an indication that the water system is intact. They have had one water main break that they've been checking out. That the water main break is in the Bellevue area near Ashland Avenue, and they are working on that to repair that one. They are investigating a water main break which is in the Cosmosdale area, which is in the far south end of Jefferson County. But overall, they've stressed that the quality of the water from the Louisville Water Company is being tested. It is shown to be good. They obviously can't test in areas that are flooded, but they have no reason to believe that there's a concern at this time. For those people who have wells and cisterns, when Dr. Rowe speaks to us here in a little bit, I'll let her address those issues dealing with the quality of water in wells and cisterns. The water company will be continuing to test water throughout the week. We do not anticipate any particular problems with Louisville water. Let me emphasize again that Cherokee Park is closed, Seneca Park is closed, and they have had some roads that have been eroded in that area, but in general, you know, they do not want anybody going in there because of the dangers of the problem of water still moving rapidly through the streams in Cherokee Park area. Jefferson County Police Department is still working out in the Fairdale area with evacuations of people. If folks absolutely have got to get back in for some reason into that Fairdale area, frankly, you're going to have to work with the commander that's based at the Fairdale Station number 2 at 3rd and the Outer Loop, and they will decide whether it's safe to go in. They'll make the decision if you can go, and they will escort you if it's appropriate. We're not encouraging people to go back into these areas unescorted. I mean, if we think we've got an area clear and somebody goes back in and we don't know you're there and you get in trouble, you know, we may not know that you're back in there. You may be all alone for a long time. So if you've absolutely got to for some reason, it has to be carefully coordinated with the people at Fairdale Station 2, and you will be escorted. That's not something we're encouraging you to do, though, at this time. The water has not gone down a great deal. It is not a safe area at this time.
Is there a phone number there?
No, we're not. We have very limited phone service down there, and those that we do have, we're not going to give out. Those are for emergency purposes. If someone's got an absolute need, I suggest that they make a point of visiting the station, talking to the people in charge, and let them evaluate it on a case-by-case basis.
Do they call 911?
Absolutely not. It's an inappropriate 911 call. I-65, we've talked about. Dixie Highway appears to be clear to the Jefferson County line, so we don't have any problems on 31W at this time. Colonel Shane from LPD, Colonel Corso from LFD has worked with us to develop a list of streets that appear to be closed, intersections that are closed at this time. It's my understanding that this has probably been passed out to people, and I'm sure the mayor will have some more comment on that when he addresses you in just a few moments. We are getting calls from people to EMS that are not necessarily emergencies. Folks, our resources are stretched thin. City and county EMS people have been up, some of them around the clock, trying to deal with making sure that people are all right, checking out calls and so forth. If it's not an emergency, let's not call 911 and ask EMS to come out and give you a ride somewhere. That's an inappropriate use of the EMS resource and an inappropriate use of 911. In terms of the county fire departments, the water is receding in some areas, and in other areas it is not going down. So we would urge you, if you're talking about a flooded area, to not go in. In some of the areas out in Okolona, some of the areas out in Fairdale, it's been a long day, folks. The water is probably up to where it was. The situation is probably as bad as it was when you left. And Chief Carlson out there in Okolona told me in some cases it may be worse than you had remembered when you left. So wait till the waters go down until it's safe. Out in Pleasure Ridge Park, they have turned off gas as they evacuated people. As people go back into those areas, they need to evaluate their gas situation with LG&E gas. And we gave out the trouble numbers a little earlier so that you can have folks call those gas trouble numbers and have them check the PRP gas services before you turn them back on. The sheriff has about 45 people out on Saturday. He had about 15 people out overnight. He will continue to have people out tonight, working out primarily in the Fairdale area with the people at the command post at Fairdale Station 2. We're expecting about 15 folks from the sheriff's office to be out there supplementing county police and the National Guard MP resources that are there. The Red Cross is still operating shelters. We have 3 shelters now open. Which one did we drop? Okay, Atherton is closing, so that means we still have Valley High School, Auburndale Elementary, and Okolona Elementary. We had approximately 200 people in those shelters, and they've been feeding on a regular basis about 3,500 people. Now, we should point out that not everybody goes to a shelter, so the feeding numbers are probably a little better indication of the kind of problem that we're dealing with. Some people go with friends and family, other people seek shelter in other places, but we are anticipating that we'll probably be sheltering about 200 people again tonight, and until the water recedes, we may be continuing to have a sheltering operation. So keep that in mind. Just a very rough preliminary damage estimate from the Red Cross would be about 1,300 homes, but frankly, our estimates right now is that that's extremely low, and I believe that Judge Armstrong will talk a little bit more about that when he makes his remarks on that. The Red Cross is anticipating opening some service centers on Monday. The exact location of those service centers are still being worked out with the Red Cross resources. The Red Cross is bringing in what they call cleanup kits, which will have some basic household supplies that'll be available in this kit to help people clean up their homes. We'll have more information about the cleanup kit as we get these kits in and we get perhaps a list of what's in those, and we'll fax that out to the media outlets so that you can have that when the time comes. City inspection permits and licenses tell me that they're working to support LG&E. They have concern about people using electric extension cords in areas where there's a lot of flooding. That's a particularly dangerous situation, people trying to pump their basements out with sump pumps. You need to be extremely cautious. Also make sure that the extension cord for the project is properly sized. Small extension cords for heavy appliances creates an unnecessary fire risk. And obviously those should be grounded extension cords. But anytime you're dealing with electricity near water, be cautious, you have danger. We have some traffic lights out in the city of Louisville at Lexington and Payne, at First and Chestnut, and at Hancock and Chestnut. Now they're working to try to resolve those problems. So as you approach those intersections, you need to be cautious. LPD was going to put some security folks out there to try to do traffic control while they got those back up, or put some kind of signals or control devices. But anytime you have a traffic signal out at a major intersection, that's a concern. We're working to get those resolved so we can have that back up for rush hour tomorrow. We hopefully will have that done. The National Guard will be helping us as water goes down to gather up barricades, return them back to the barricade companies, and we're hoping to get them to assist us with some of our cleanup operations. We'll be mapping those out over the next day or two. We've talked with the superintendent of Jefferson County Schools. They have been looking at all their school situations. The schools appear to be in good shape. All are operational except one, that's Lassiter. Lassiter Elementary on the outer loop. Actually, the school itself is in good shape, but it is an island at this time. So they're going to be going out and evaluating. That's why they're not here with us at this particular moment. The superintendent and his staff have gone out and they are evaluating roads, they're evaluating the bus routes, and somewhere between 6 and 7 they will be making their final decision about what they're going to be doing with school. If at all possible, the superintendent would very much like to get school in tomorrow. But he will make the final call on that. Once that decision is made, expect the school board to release that information over the normal public media and let everybody know about the schools. They're trying very hard to try to make that a go decision, but it is his call, it is his decision, and expect that somewhere probably after 7 p.m. this evening. Jefferson County Human Services has been in contact with the Crisis and Information Center. The Crisis and Information Center has not been handling a lot of calls, which is a good indication that folks may be able to get some of these personal issues resolved. We are making plans to open up county care and city call services. County care and city call will be opening at 6 o'clock this evening. The county care number is 574-2273, and city call is 574-3333. Now, when these services open this evening, they'll be open until midnight this evening with operators there to handle calls and requests for information, calls and requests for assistance, and so forth. They have ways of passing these to the various city and county agencies who can do follow-up. We're going to try to get them some information so they can answer some questions for you at these two numbers. And then at midnight, they go into basically a voicemail type mode. They'll gather messages overnight. Operators will come back in again at 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow at City Call and County Care. These are a good source of information. It's a good way to feed us concerns and follow up. These City Call and County Care concerns are tracked, and the agencies do follow up on these things, so it can be very effective. 6 to midnight tonight, and then normally at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning they'll open back up.
What types of calls are you talking about there, please?
If we have concerns about information, for example, of what to do after the water goes down and so forth, they'll try to have some kind of information like that. I've asked the health department to share with them information about what to do with water in my cistern, what to do with food in a freezer that's been underwater. I mean, the health department's trying to pull together information for them. Red Cross is going to pull information together for them. If there's concern about city services, street lights out, county services, roads that maybe are still impassable or whatnot, I mean, they can register those systems. In those systems, they actually record the information, the names and the addresses and the time, the area that's the problem. Those systems then kick out in the appropriate agencies, or we give them to the agencies, and the agency directors then assign them to work crews for follow-up. So that's the kind of thing that they do in that area. Metropolitan Sewer District says that the sewer system is obviously in its flood mode. It's flooded out. The level and the condition of the sewer obviously varies depending upon where it's at. We have to anticipate that it will take a while for the water to go down. The water is obviously very full in the sewer lines. Gordon Garner indicated that they've had about 1,483 calls from midnight on the 1st through 9 o'clock this morning, and that's for all types of requests for things, including grates and basement flooding, manhole cover missings, I mean the whole gamut of services. They have approximately about 900 basements that they've had that are reported as flooded. They anticipate that there's probably 10 unreported situations in basements for every one that they've got. So you could be dealing with anywhere between, maybe 9,000 to 10,000 actual situations of flooded basements, but you really don't know. We do anticipate that, as the water in some of these basements, as the sewers go down, the sewers flush out, some of the basements will clear out. So, some of these things should be self-resolving. They have about 40 packaged sewer plants out there, which service some of the subdivisions in the county outside of the city. Some of these packaged plants have been underwater for a period of time, and obviously they're not operational. When the water goes down, they'll get in, they'll evaluate those plants, they'll get them started back up again. And they also anticipate at this time there are probably 7 of these packaged plants throughout the county that are going to need some kind of repair, that have been damaged in the course of the storm. And so they'll have to work on that. The question that comes up is, well, what's happened to the sewage that's been handled in those plants? It is in the runoff, it's in the drainage that's out there in the system right now. It's out there on the streams, it's out there on the streets, which is another reason why you don't want your children, you don't want to be out walking and playing in this water. This water is not healthy for you to be out in. And I'll let Dr. Rowe deal with that and more after we get to some of the other items here. The dry bed reservoir system, which is basically the system that holds runoff out in Jefferson County, is full, and it is still full. And it's expected to take a while for that to go down. Again, we don't want people to be out playing or walking or canoeing or kayaking in any of these things. They have dangerous currents. You don't know what's out there. There's a lot of trees and debris in the dry bed system. They will be putting in, have been working on putting in the floodgates at 10th, 27th, and the Riverport. When they are complete with that, they will begin to put the floodgates in at 11, 2nd Street, and Bingham Way. 11th, 2nd Street, and Bingham Way. And then they will begin to attack putting up the floodgates and the closures at all of the other locations in the flood wall floodgate system.
When do you expect to have Dixie Highway closed because of the floodgate closure?
Gordon?
It's one of the later ones. It's at the other end of the list.
So
It would be one of the last.
Tuesday,
Wednesday, Thursday. Wednesday probably.
Okay, what Gordon Garner is saying for those that were watching off camera is probably in that Wednesday, maybe Thursday time frame is where they'll try to get to the floodgate, flood wall down there at South Dixie. There's 45 closures they've got to put in place. They are putting these in place and trying to be prepared because they are anticipating that as the Ohio is continuing to rise, there's a good chance that we may be in a flood situation somewhere later in this week. They don't want to take a chance on that. They need about 6 days altogether to put this system together. It involves 45 gates and about 120,000 sandbags, and they're going to be working aggressively on that. Now, if things go well and we don't get a lot of rain over the next few days, everything should be up in time for whatever crest might be coming our way. Obviously, this depends upon what's upstream in the watershed on the Ohio. If we do get some rain here in the next couple of days, it may be necessary that we get some additional help from the works departments in the city and county side to help get these gates and walls in place. But they've got a plan for working on that, and they anticipate they'll be able to handle that. The Ohio right now is expected to crest probably on Thursday at 37 feet on the upper gauge, 69 feet on the lower gauge. Right now, as of about 1 o'clock, it's my understanding that it was at 23.3 feet on the upper gauge and 54.2 feet on the lower gauge. And obviously that is a moving subject. We are anticipating a little rain this afternoon, earlier this evening, but it's not supposed to be significant. People shouldn't be too concerned about that at this point. And I'll let the meteorologists look ahead. We're not going to get into being weathermen at this point. The dams that we've been looking at have all been small dams. The Bighorn Dam out in the South Park was a small dam behind a fishing lake. That did erode through. It's about 3/4 of the way gone at this point. There were some families that were evacuated downstream from the Bighorn Dam. I think that maybe it was about 5 homes, about 10 people maybe. About 10, 15 folks in that particular one. Wasn't a concern. We were looking at another one out in the Worthington area that was involved in the Louisville Memorial Cemetery. That one proved to not have any real serious problem at this time, so we did not evacuate anybody out in that area. And I am not aware of any other dam concerns in Jefferson County at this time.
Where's the Bighorn Dam?
It's out by the South Park, Host Claw Hill Road, and the judge will talk a little bit more about that. We've had some questions about pumps and sump pumps and so forth. Let me just make it clear that no matter what anybody's told you, the fire departments in Louisville and Jefferson County are not pumping basements. Our resources are committed to other tasks, and in some cases it probably wouldn't help until the water levels subside anyway. If you're in an area where you'd like to do something with a sump pump, folks, we do not have sump pumps available. You know, work with your neighbors. It's a good time for neighbor to help neighbor. Be careful about the electrical concerns, obviously. The retail outlets are pretty well out of sump pumps, but we have heard that some of these retail outlets are working very hard to get additional stock in over the next few days. So you may want to check with some of the larger retail outlets if you think you need a sump pump. But we, government, do not have sump pumps or pumps available to help you pump basements out. Jefferson County EMS, as I indicated, is still working in the Fairdale area with evacuations in that area. We are still evacuating or bringing people out of the Fairdale area. And as I said earlier, do not go back into these areas. You do so at great risk to yourself. Now, it's going to get cool tonight. We're expecting it to get down into the 30s. It may be down in the 32, 30-some range this evening. We are a little concerned from a fire prevention standpoint that people may be trying to do things to heat their homes, kerosene heaters and so forth. Some folks that may be without power may be trying to light their homes with things like open candles. We need to exercise extreme caution with these kinds of devices out there. And obviously you're going to use some kind of a heating device inside of a closed home. Be concerned about carbon monoxide. Have some kind of a window cracked open. Make sure you get some ventilation in the home so that we don't have any carbon monoxide issues to be concerned about. In terms of the longer term, as we get into the recovery mode of this particular situation. Businesses and residents are urged to start keeping record of your expenses, keep records of your damage. If you've got lists of things that you perhaps feel that you've lost, you know, gather up your records. You know, you've probably heard this before from your insurance company, and you probably didn't take it seriously. But you need to get things like photographs of property, photographs of your belonging, lists of things, keep track of your costs and so forth. If there is a federal disaster declaration and there are some federal, if funds become available, then we will be working to gather that information with the businesses and the residents to try to make sure we've got a good picture of what our costs and our needs are in that particular area.
Will the governor apply for a federal disaster?
The judge has talked to the governor, and I think this is a good point to turn this over to the judge and let him talk about where we're going in his discussions with the governor on that.
Thank you very much, Dick. I just have a couple of items that I wanted to touch on before I leave to meet Governor Patton, who's going to tour the impacted area in the southern part of the county. First of all, there is a handout sheet, Kathy, if you'll give them, that has about 50 roads that have either been closed or there's some problem with water on these roads. Mark Hartung is here. Mark, if you'll raise your hand. If you want more specific information rather than take your time now, I would ask you see Mark about the condition of these roads. These are county roads.
These are not city roads?
Well, they could be both in some cases, Sheldon.
City roads available?
Yeah,
city
we
roads?
got it.
I think the mayor's going to talk about city roads.
We haven't merged city county yet.
But the that's your latest report on that. That's effective as of 3:30 this afternoon, and there is a number that says 12:30, but it's updated to be 3:30. This afternoon, in the New Cut Road and Outer Loop area, there was a working house fire at what is known as the Confederate Acres subdivision. The utilities had to be cut in those areas, and so there are a number of streets and homes that are without utility in that area. I cannot say to the folks who are living there whether or not the utilities will be restored today, so you may want to consider locating not far from where you are at the Auburndale Elementary School, which is one of our approved Red Cross shelters. I toured and visited there this afternoon. There is accommodations for you, and so I would recommend that you want to consider that before it gets dark, so that you don't have a last-minute option in the dark as to whether you want to leave your home. There is no assurance at this time from LG&E that the Confederate Acres subdivision homes will have their utilities restored. There's one injury as a result of the house fire. The chief of the Fairdale Fire Department, Don Wittry, suffered hypothermia. He's been taken to University Hospital. He's in stable condition. We do not expect his hospitalization to be very long. You're going to hear more about the threat of hypothermia from Dr. Melinda Rowe. It is a real problem. As we toured many of the areas today, there were children as well as adults walking around in the muddy water barefoot. Not only is that a hazard to be walking barefoot, but just being exposed to water, and the fact that we're going to have freezing weather a little later can subject you to hypothermia, and it is a very debilitating problem. Andy?
Judge, is there any thought being given to opening some shelter in the east end for all the folks who are going to be forced from their homes as the Ohio comes up and as Harrods Creek floods the backwater areas?
Yes, we're thinking about that now, and the Red Cross, as a matter of fact, has already been alerted to that. We do not have a site at this time located, but as soon as we do have, if you'll check the Operations Center here, we'll notify you. I would suggest you check with the Red Cross first. They'll have the identification of the site located. We are anticipating some displacement of some areas, so stay tuned. Yesterday, I requested the emergency proclamation from the governor. He agreed and has sent not only vehicles but personnel from the National Guard to our community. We have one unit of military police that is helping us with securing the homes that have been evacuated. And we have also some very high clearance vehicles that are helping us do the evacuation. We have asked for additional vehicles, and we're waiting to receive reward on that. Governor Patton is coming into the community and will be here shortly. He's going to tour the affected area, and we'll have a chance to talk about what we asked him yesterday. We sent a letter to him asking for an early assessment being about $51 million in damage to the community. I would think that once he sees the impacted area, that number will go up. We're trying to gather numbers, as Dick Bartlett had already told you. Those numbers will exceed that amount, in my opinion. Also, we told the governor that 30,000 homes were affected yesterday. I think that figure has moved from 30,000 to almost 40,000. There will be affected homes in the eastern part of the county as well. We don't know how many, but when those numbers come in, we'll add to that. Sheldon asked about the Bighorn Lake that's located in the Jefferson Forest on the Hosklaw Hill Road. It is a pay lake. It is not part of the public property, but it has had significant erosion, and the families in the impacted area have been relocated. Once again, let me urge people to stay out of this area. Just because it's not raining, it doesn't mean there's not flood water on the roads. And some of the roads that people may think they're familiar with, because of the water, it is much deeper than they would first estimate. And we ran in on many occasions to cars and trucks that were washed out. And these were people who lived in the area, thought they knew the depth of the road, and they had misjudged it. So I would caution people not to go back into those areas thinking they understand the road and thinking they can traverse a water-covered road, because it just doesn't happen that way. So let me thank you. I'm going to meet with the governor, and I'll have whatever I have to report back to you.
Any word on when, on the possibility, the likelihood of when it might happen in the federal emergency disaster against
We have requested it yesterday, Sheldon, through the letter to Governor Patton. He's received it. I've talked to him about it. That's one of the reasons he wants to be here today, to see the full impact of it.
But he has asked for it. You have put in a request.
That's correct. That's correct. And we think it is a very conservative estimate, and it will exceed that amount that we had asked. When I was at the Auburndale, they had over 300 people there at about 1:30. I'd say over 2,500 homes in the area. Fairdale, 3rd Street Road, Outer Loop area. We went into the Glengarry, which is the most severe impacted, and it's very difficult to get into the area. There are some people who are trying to hold on there just simply because of their concerns. Let me remind them that we are having the military police help us with the security. Anyone coming into that area would be arrested. So unless they have a purpose for being there or if they live there. But their homes are being secured, and I think knowing that, they can make the decision early while there's still light as to whether to leave there and go into a shelter tonight.
What about county people who want to take junk, whether damaged property, damaged goods, damaged materials out of their basement? Can they set that at the curb for junk pickup, or?
We wouldn't. There's going to be plenty of time to do that. I mean, we're trying to worry about people's lives and not their personal property right now. So worrying about putting junk out in the front yards are full of water. So we don't want to add to the problem that MSD is having with trying to drain yards, and their property can stay right into the homes until we're ready to pick it up.
Is Outer Loop landfill shut down right now?
I don't know that question. We can find out.
Any reports of security problems thus far?
None yet. Of course, we do have one fatality that happened last night, and that was the child of a employee of the city county government. And our hearts go out to that family having happened. And there are, to hear a lot of near misses. I spoke earlier about people misgauging roads and the depth of water on roads, and there was a van last night on the outer loop that was very familiar with the road, and in a very short order. They were up to the top of the roof, and husband and wife and a child barely escaped drowning. So, I mean, this is just senseless. You should not try and get out on these roads at all.
Okay, the judge needs to go off and see the governor, so what I'd like to do is to pass the mic over to the mayor, and then we'll get to Dr. Rowe with the public health issues she needs to hit.
Sheldon, just to follow up, we were also pulling people out of Goldsmith Lane and Peabody over in the 2nd Ward. We had several hundred people that were pulled out of the Brentwood and those apartment complexes, evacuated. We also evacuated people. Goldsmith Lane and Peabody, apartment complexes over there were